All right, so today we are diving deep into the art of war, and
Yeah.
specifically the audiobook version, read by Moira Fogarty,
Yes.
translated by Lionel Giles. And I know some people might be thinking, ancient Chinese military strategy, like,
Right.
what does that have to do with me in the 21st century?
Right.
But trust me, Sun Tzu's wisdom is surprisingly relevant,
Yeah.
even in today's world. It's really about strategy, understanding your opponent,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately achieving victory. So whether you're, I don't know, on an actual battlefield or just in like a boardroom negotiation
Exactly.
or any kind of, strategic situation you find yourself in, there's a lot to be learned from this ancient text.
It's fascinating how his principles really do transcend time and context. I
Yeah.
mean, the insights into human behavior and strategic thinking and achieving success are really as relevant today as they were centuries ago.
Absolutely. So let's jump right in. Sun Tzu kicks things off by laying out these 5 constant factors to consider in any conflict. And he calls these moral law, heaven, earth, the commander, and method and discipline.
And what's really interesting is how he emphasizes the importance
Huh.
of the leader's relationship with their people.
Right.
He calls this moral law, and it's all about building that unshakable bond, that unwavering loyalty
Mhm.
that inspires people to follow their leader even in the face of danger.
Right. He actually says, and this is a quote, "The moral law causes the people to be in complete accord with their ruler, so that they will follow him regardless of their lives, undismayed by any danger."
Oh, wow.
So it makes me think about those, those modern day leaders who really inspire their teams, right, through a shared vision, strong
Yeah.
values,
Yeah. Think about like a Steve Jobs or an Elon Musk.
Mhm.
They weren't just brilliant innovators, right? They
Right.
were also masters at motivating their teams and inspiring this sense of shared
So it's
purpose.
not just about like barking orders and being,
Right.
an authoritarian leader. It's about creating that culture where everybody feels bought in.
Exactly, precisely.
Yeah.
Now, the other factors are equally important. So, like, heaven encompasses the elements, the weather, the terrain, the time of day.
Right.
Sun Tzu understood that these external factors can have a huge impact on the outcome of any conflict.
He's like right place, right time.
Exactly.
Right.
And then there's Earth, which is all about understanding the terrain,
Right.
assessing the strategic advantages and disadvantages of the battlefield.
Mhm.
So think about a business negotiation, for example.
Go
You
ahead.
wouldn't want to go into that blindly, right?
Right.
You'd want to understand the market, the competition, the playing field.
So doing your research,
Exactly.
gathering intelligence,
Mhm.
making sure you're prepared
Just fleet.
for any eventuality.
Yeah, and Sun Tzu also stresses the importance of the commander, the leader, who possesses the wisdom, the courage, and the discipline to make strategic decisions
Mhm.
and inspire their troops. Think about the qualities of like a great CEO or a team leader, someone who can analyze situations, make tough calls, and motivate their team to achieve success.
Everything rises and falls on leadership.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And finally, there's method and discipline.
Okay.
This is about having a well-organized army, clear lines of command,
Yeah.
and efficient logistics.
Right.
So think about a well-run business.
Yeah.
It has systems in place, clear communication channels,
Right.
and a budget that's carefully managed.
Yeah, it's about having your house in order, basically being organized, efficient, no matter what kind of battle you're fighting. It sounds like preparation is key.
Absolutely. Sun Tzu believed that victory is often determined before the battle even begins.
Right.
He stresses the importance of meticulous planning, analyzing every aspect of the conflict,
Mhm.
and anticipating your opponent's moves.
He actually lays out 7 specific considerations for forecasting victory or defeat.
Oh, wow.
He analyzes everything from, the ruler's moral compass to the army's training and discipline.
And he's not afraid to be blunt about the consequences of poor planning.
Right.
He says, "The general that hearkens not to my counsel nor acts upon it will suffer defeat. Let such a one be dismissed."
Straight to the point.
Yeah.
No mincing words.
Not at all.
And this brings us to kind of the next crucial point, waging war.
Right.
Now, Sun Tzu was keenly aware of the economic and logistical burdens of war.
Yeah.
Protracted campaigns
Yeah.
were a big no-no in his book.
Right, and the audiobook actually drives this point home with a very vivid example. The staggering cost of maintaining a 100,000-man army,
Oh, wow.
1,000 ounces of silver per day.
1,000 ounces of silver.
Copper.
day.
That's a lot of silver.
That is a lot.
I mean, imagine trying to keep a modern-day corporation afloat with
Yeah.
that kind of daily overhead.
Exactly. It highlights the need for efficiency
Right.
and Sun Tzu's solution, foraging on the enemy.
Foraging on the enemy, what does that mean?
It's this fascinating concept of sustaining your army by utilizing enemy resources. Okay, so using your competitors' resources to your advantage.
Absolutely. So imagine two tech companies competing for market share.
Good.
One company could strategically acquire a smaller company that the other company was relying on
Right.
for a key component.
Got it.
This would not only bolster their own resources, but also weaken their competitor.
That's brilliant.
Right.
Turning the tables on your opponent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Sun Tzu even suggests incorporating captured soldiers into your own ranks, bolstering your strength with the conquered foe.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about being resourceful. It's about adapting to the situation.
Exactly.
And finding those creative ways to gain an advantage.
Yeah. And what's truly remarkable is Sun Tzu's emphasis on achieving victory without fighting.
Without fighting.
He calls this supreme excellence, breaking the enemy's resistance without direct confrontation.
Yeah, that's what I call a win-win.
Right.
So how do you achieve victory without even engaging in battle?
He outlines various methods, so you can disrupt the enemy's plans, you can prevent alliances from forming, and you can strategically attack their vulnerabilities.
Mm-hmm.
He was a master of deception and psychological warfare, using these tactics to gain a decisive advantage.
So it's all about outsmarting your opponent.
Precisely. Think about a political campaign.
Okay.
A candidate might release a damaging piece of information about their opponent just before a key debate,
Right.
throwing them off balance,
Mm-hmm.
swaying public opinion.
Or a company launching a surprise marketing campaign that
Yes.
disrupts their competitors',
Exactly.
launch plans.
It's about being strategic, thinking ahead, using your knowledge to manipulate the situation to your advantage.
Okay, so this is all starting to sound a little less like ancient warfare and more like a playbook
Right.
for modern-day success.
That's the beauty of Sun Tzu's work.
Okay.
It's this timeless wisdom that can be applied to countless situations.
Right.
From personal relationships to business negotiations to political campaigns.
Well, we've covered so much ground already, and I'm already seeing how relevant
Right.
these ancient strategies are
Yeah.
to my own life.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to delve deeper into the book.
Okay.
But before we do that, let's take a quick pause for you listening
Mm-hmm.
to reflect on what's resonating with you so far.
Yeah. What are you taking away from this?
Yeah, and we'll be right back.
Sounds good. Welcome back. So I hope you've had a chance to kind of process some of this information and think about how it might apply to your own life.
Yeah, one thing that really stood out to me was Sun Tzu's emphasis on knowing yourself
Yes.
and knowing your enemy.
Right.
And it seems like that's really the foundation of any successful strategy.
Absolutely. Without self-awareness and a deep understanding of your opponent, you're really setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
It's like going into a job interview without knowing your own strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
Or trying to negotiate a deal without understanding the other party's motivations.
Right. So how can we apply this principle in a practical way?
Well, it starts with honest self-reflection.
Okay.
So what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your goals? What are your values?
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to understanding your opponent,
Right.
whether it's a competitor, a challenging colleague, or even a personal obstacle,
Right.
try to see things from their perspective.
Right.
What are their motivations? What are their fears?
It sounds like empathy plays a big role here.
It does. The more you understand your opponent, the better equipped you'll be to anticipate their moves and develop effective counter strategies.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Another concept that I found fascinating was Sun Tzu's idea of tactical dispositions,
Okay.
which basically boils down to strategic positioning and maneuvering.
Yes. It's like a game of chess, right? You have
Yeah.
to think several moves ahead,
Right.
anticipate your opponent's actions, and position yourself in a way that maximizes your strengths and exploits their weaknesses.
So how do we apply that kind of principle beyond the battlefield? Can you give me like a real-world example?
Sure, think about a career change.
Okay.
You wouldn't just quit your job and jump into something new without careful consideration.
Right.
You'd want to assess your skills, you'd want to network with people in your desired field, and strategically position yourself for success.
So tactical dispositions in this context would be about like building relationships, acquiring new skills,
Exactly.
making sure you're in the right place at the right time.
Precisely. It's about being proactive,
Hmm.
making calculated moves, and setting yourself up for success.
I love how these ancient principles can be so relevant
I know, it's amazing.
to our modern lives.
Yeah.
Sun Tzu also talks about the importance of energy and decision,
Yes.
right? So energy refers to momentum,
Right.
building that unstoppable force that can overcome any obstacle.
Mm.
And then decision is all about timing,
Yeah.
seizing the right moment to strike.
Yes, just like a falcon swooping down on its prey.
Strike while the iron is hot.
Exactly. It's about recognizing opportunities when they arise and having the decisiveness to act.
Hmm.
So think about a business negotiation.
Okay.
You've done your research.
Yeah.
You've built rapport.
Hmm.
And you sense that the other party is ready to make a deal.
Right.
That's the moment to make your move, to present your offer with confidence and conviction.
Don't hesitate, seize the moment.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
So now let's talk about one of Sun Tzu's most intriguing concepts, the 9 varieties of ground.
Okay, yeah, I want to hear about this.
Okay, so he uses these different types of ground as metaphors for the various situations
Really?
that we encounter in life, each requiring a unique strategic approach.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So let's start with dispersive ground.
Okay.
This is your home turf,
Okay.
the familiar where your strength lies.
Mhm.
Sun Tzu actually advises against fighting here,
Okay.
suggesting it's more about consolidation,
Right.
about harnessing the unity and support of your people.
So less about like aggressive action and more about fortifying your base, your foundation.
Exactly. So think about your personal life. Your dispersive ground might be your close circle of friends and family, those who support you and give you strength. It's about nurturing those relationships, building a solid foundation of love and support.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so now let's move on to facile ground.
All right, facile ground.
So this is where you've ventured slightly into new territory.
Okay.
Here, momentum is key.
Mm-hmm.
Sun Tzu says, halt not.
Okay.
Keep moving,
Mhm.
explore, expand your reach, but don't get bogged down.
So it's like that initial push when you're starting a new project or taking on a new challenge.
Precisely, you have that burst of energy and enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Ride that wave.
Okay.
But be mindful of the next type of ground, which is contentious ground.
Contentious ground. That sounds a little ominous.
It does.
What does that entail?
So contentious ground is where the stakes are high
Okay.
and every inch is fiercely contested. So think of a high-pressure negotiation or a competitive job market.
Okay.
Sun Tzu's advice.
Yeah.
Attack not.
Oh, interesting.
It's about strategic patience, assessing the situation, and choosing your battles wisely.
So not jumping into conflict blindly, but really weighing the potential risks and rewards.
Exactly. All right, so open ground is
Interesting.
where you have freedom of movement.
Okay.
So it's about flexibility, adaptability, using your mobility to outmaneuver your opponent.
This feels like it could apply to so many situations.
Yes.
Like navigating a new social circle
Yeah.
or exploring different career paths.
Absolutely. Think of it as a time for exploration and experimentation.
Right.
Don't be afraid to try new things and see where they lead you.
Okay, what about the next one?
So we call this one ground of intersecting highways.
Ground of intersecting highways.
It really emphasizes the importance of alliances and partnerships.
Yeah.
It's about strategically leveraging your network and building coalitions to achieve your goals.
I can see how this would be crucial in business,
Yes.
in politics, or even just navigating social circles.
Exactly. It's about who you know and how you leverage those relationships to your advantage.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so now when you venture deeper into unfamiliar territory,
Okay.
you enter serious ground.
Serious ground.
Here, careful planning and resource management become even more critical.
It sounds like a reminder to pace yourself, conserve your energy,
Yes.
and plan for the long haul.
You got it.
Okay.
Okay, now imagine you're facing a particularly challenging situation,
Mm-hmm.
a difficult path filled with obstacles.
Right.
This is what Sun Tzu calls difficult ground.
Difficult ground.
His advice.
Yeah.
Keep steadily on the march. It's about perseverance,
Okay.
pushing through adversity and finding a way to navigate those obstacles.
It's not giving up even when the going gets tough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, now sometimes you might find yourself trapped, surrounded by challenges.
Right.
This is hemmed in ground.
Hemmed in ground. Okay.
This is where creativity and resourcefulness come into play.
Mhm.
Sun Tzu urges you to resort to stratagem,
Yeah.
to think outside the box, to find unconventional solutions.
Yeah, it's like that classic entrepreneurial spirit,
Yes.
turning limitations into opportunity.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And finally, we come to desperate ground.
Desperate
The
grounds.
do-or-die scenario
Okay.
where your back is against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Sun Tzu's advice is stark. Fight.
Fight.
It's about summoning your courage, tapping into your reserves of strength, and fighting with everything you've got.
Wow, so the 9 types of ground really do cover a wide spectrum
Yes.
of situations that we might face in life.
They do, and they all offer valuable lessons in how to approach challenges strategically and adapt to different circumstances.
Yeah, this has been so insightful. I'm starting to see how Sun Tzu's Art of War
Mm-hmm.
is less about literal warfare
Yeah.
and more about, a philosophy for navigating the complexities of life.
Absolutely.
So what else can we learn from this ancient master strategist?
Mm.
I'm still amazed by how, Sun Tzu's ideas from centuries ago still resonate with modern challenges.
I know, it's amazing.
It's like he had a crystal ball or something.
Right. That's the mark of true wisdom, isn't it? Just
Yeah.
observing human nature and understanding the fundamentals of strategy.
Right.
Those things are timeless.
Right. And, I was thinking about, when he compares a skilled leader to water.
Yeah.
Always flowing, always adapting to the shape of its container, finding the path of least resistance.
Right.
He says, military tactics are like unto water. For water in its natural course runs away from high places and hastens downward.
It's such a powerful image.
Yeah,
Just recognizing when to be forceful and when to yield.
right. And then he goes on to say, so in war, the way is to avoid what is strong and to strike at what is weak.
Right.
You see this all the time in business, right?
Yes.
Startups disrupting these big established companies by finding that underserved niche, or, underdog political candidates gaining momentum
Yes.
by kind of highlighting their opponent's vulnerabilities.
Exactly.
So it's about being strategic. It's about recognizing that a head-on attack isn't always the best approach.
Right.
Sometimes it's about finding that point of leverage
Right.
where you can really exert your strength effectively.
Exactly.
And this kind of brings us to another key concept that we've touched on, deception.
Yeah.
Sun Tzu famously states, all warfare is based on deception.
Right.
Now, I'll be honest, that one always makes me a little uneasy.
I understand.
Yeah.
But remember, Sun Tzu isn't advocating for dishonesty or manipulation.
Right.
It's about strategic maneuvering, about outsmarting your opponent by keeping them guessing.
Right.
So think about like a poker game.
Okay.
You don't reveal your hand right away.
Right.
You bluff, you misdirect, you keep your opponent on edge.
So it's about being strategic with the information you reveal.
Exactly.
Using those feints and diversions to gain an advantage.
Just-
It actually makes me think about those nature documentaries.
Yeah.
Where you see animals using camouflage or
Yeah.
mimicry to protect themselves or attract prey.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
They're using deception not to harm, but to survive and thrive.
Right.
And in a way, that's what Sun Tzu is advocating for, using strategy to navigate the challenges of life and achieve your goals.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better
Yeah.
about the whole deception thing.
Yeah.
Another piece of advice that really resonated with me was Sun Tzu's emphasis on choosing your battles wisely.
Yes, he says. Move not unless you see an advantage. Use not your troops unless there is something to be gained. Fight not unless the position is critical. In other words, don't waste your energy on conflicts that won't advance your overall objective.
And that's such a valuable lesson, not just in warfare,
Right.
but in life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We so often get caught up in these petty arguments or
Yeah.
distractions that just drain our energy and prevent us from achieving our goals.
Yeah.
It's like, don't sweat the small stuff.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah. And Sun Tzu also has some, I think, really fascinating insights on harnessing energy and making decisive moves.
Yes.
He compares it to like the bending of a crossbow,
Right.
and the release of the trigger.
It's beautiful imagery.
It is. He talks about recognizing the opportune moment to act, like a surfer waiting for the perfect wave.
Right. We're like a seasoned investor waiting for the perfect time to buy or sell a stock.
Exactly.
It's about being patient,
Mhm.
observant, and then acting decisively when the time is right.
One of the things that has impressed me throughout this whole deep dive
Yeah.
is how Sun Tzu emphasizes balance.
Right.
There's this constant interplay between strength and weakness, offense and defense, planning and adaptability.
He understood that rigidity can be a downfall,
Right.
that true strength lies in being flexible and adapting to changing circumstances.
It's like that Bruce Lee quote, be like water making its way through cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you shall find a way around or through it.
I love that quote. That's perfect. It perfectly captures the essence of Sun Tzu's teachings.
So, as we wrap up our exploration of the art of war, I'm just left with this sense of awe
Mm,
at the depth and breadth of Sun Tzu's wisdom.
yes.
And it's incredible how these ancient principles
Yeah.
can be so relevant to our modern lives.
Absolutely. And I hope that you listening will take these principles to heart
Yeah,
and find ways to apply them to your own life, your own personal battlefield.
that's right.
Whether you're facing a career challenge, navigating a difficult relationship, or simply striving to achieve your goals, Sun Tzu's insights can offer valuable guidance and inspiration.
And remember that quote we talked about earlier. If you know the enemy and know yourself, your victory will not stand in doubt. If you know heaven and know earth, you may make your victory complete.
It's a powerful reminder that knowledge, self-awareness, and strategic thinking are the keys to success, no matter what challenges we face.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us
Yes, thank you.
on this deep dive into the art of war.
We hope you enjoyed it.
We hope you gained some valuable insights and a renewed appreciation for the timeless wisdom of this ancient text.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time.